Good evening, LTL Nation, and welcome to another episode of the 7-Minute Breakthrough Revolution. My name is Omar Alhegelan, and tonight I will be talking about limiting beliefs. We live through the filters of our childhood, the filters of our past. Events that have marked us one way or another in our youth have left a very strong mark in our unconscious. Without really knowing it, we have been marked by a limiting decision that in turn has given us carte blanche to create these limiting beliefs. Beliefs like, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'll never amount to anything, I'll never accomplish my dreams, I could never run a marathon, others can succeed, but not I. These are all examples of the types of impediments our unconscious allows us to have so as to protect ourselves from the doubts, fears, embarrassments, and humiliations that we're so scared to face in our day-to-day life. You see, the prime directive of the unconscious mind is to protect us. It is there to make sure that we stay alive, stay healthy, and stay strong. It protects us not only from the outside world, but from ourselves, our perceived fears, and our doubts. Sometimes it's easier to hide behind our fears and limiting beliefs, unconsciously knowing that we will benefit from a secondary gain. So what do I mean? What are these secondary gains? Well, if we give in to the beliefs that we cannot do something, then we are released from the inner bond that we have to accomplish it. We no longer have to fear failure. We no longer have to be accountable for our success or lack thereof. This freedom from accountability has become our secondary gain. In terms of parenting, we must make sure that we do not project our limiting beliefs on our children. We should not let our doubts and fears influence their future behavior. See, our children are all pretty much fearless, and we as loving, protective parents unknowingly start influencing these beliefs. It is our subtle, unconscious parenting, along with the lessons that they learn at school and in the playground, that starts this negative process of limiting beliefs. So please do your best to encourage your children, to let them know that they can do and be anything in life, that they are beautiful, smart, strong, talented. Let's be the parents that enforce positive beliefs rather than the opposite. See, all my life, I've had this mad respect for marathon runners, knowing that I could never in a million years run one myself. This was my limiting belief, or at least one of many limiting beliefs that I had, and one that I ended up confronting and facing head on. I had run like everyone has run, in sports in school, you have to run here and there, but it's something I never enjoyed. So throughout high school, college, my 20s, even my 30s, I never ran. It wasn't something that I liked to do. And then all of a sudden, about 8 years ago, I decided to go trekking in the Himalayas. And in order to get in shape, in order to be fit enough to go and trek at the high altitudes, I started a running regimen. Well, this running regimen was a purpose for a final goal. And so it wasn't running in it for itself. But you have to understand, just because I didn't like it doesn't mean I didn't respect it. And I had this real incredible mad respect for people who could actually run a marathon. I loved to and I wanted to be able to do this. But this limiting belief always held me back. It held me back to the point where I would tell people right, left, and center, I would love to be able to do it, but I can't. It's just not within me. It's not something within my powers. My abilities do not let me get to this point so that I could run a marathon. And so after having trained and gone and trekking the Himalayas, I came back and I was living in Dubai at the time as I am now. And I thought to myself, well, why don't you run a marathon? Well, are you scared? What's the real reason behind it? And I won't give you all the processing and all the work that I did to get to this point. But I said to myself, I gave myself this challenge. I'm like, well, try. Why don't you just try? Try getting yourself in good enough shape so as to do it. So I looked it up on the internet and I tried to find a training regimen. which I did. I found a 6-week, I think it was, or 8-week training course, and it had a calendar, and it told you when to do your short runs, your medium runs, your long runs, and so on and so forth. And I started running and I started training. I really didn't think about it. I just went head first and I started my training. Well, as I kept my training and as I built my endurance, I found myself more and more motivated to do it, until one day I woke up and it said, okay, today is your last training day. Enjoy your training day and now go run a marathon. Well, it was the middle of June in Dubai, where the outside temperatures are above 100 during the day, and you're lucky if they go below 90, 95 at night or in the middle of the morning. And I remember I was watching a soccer game in the Olympics, and it had just finished, and it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I look at my wife and I'm like, okay, I'm going. And she's like, well, what do you mean, where are you going? I'm like, I'm gonna go run my marathon. And she's like, she looked at me like I was crazy, and I went and I put on my running shoes, my running shirt, a t-shirt, and I said, okay, honey, I'm out of here. She goes, well, you can't just go run a marathon now, just alone. And so God bless her, she ended up being my support crew, and thanks to her help and assistance, I was actually able to achieve this goal. So what did she do? She got in her car and drove a couple miles. I told her the route that I was going to take, that I had already mapped out on Google Maps, and she would drive ahead of me about a couple miles, stop, pull over on the side of the road, and have some water for me as I ran past, and I was able to stay hydrated. Well, I didn't break any records, that's for sure, but it took me about 5 or 5.5 hours, I don't remember exactly. But you know what? I faced my limiting beliefs, and I was able to do it. I was able to run my marathon. I don't think I'll ever, as a matter of fact, when I finished, my wife said, well, so how do you feel? I'm like, I'm never going to do this again. And I think that's pretty much, I'm not sure, who knows, maybe that's another limiting belief that I'm throwing in there. But at the end of the day, I ran my marathon, I confronted my limiting belief, I broke it, and I moved on. So, thank you for following me tonight, and as always, please tune in tomorrow night as Faisal will start the week of motivation. So maybe he will be able to motivate me to go run another marathon, maybe this time during a competition and not all alone at 1:30 in the morning. So as always, please follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Life Talks Live. And I close, as I always do, with love, peace, and respect. Salam, shalom, namaste. Thank you very much. Good night.